Okay. Okay.
Is that it?
Mm-hmm.
Good evening, America. I got a few things I want to share with you, a few ideas I'd like to pass by you. This message is my attempt to write from the perspective of the average American citizen. Were I to chastise others for taking little or no interest in our political process, but then fail to voice my opinion as to where I see our nation heading, I become another of the uninvolved, forfeiting my right to criticize. I leave to you, the viewer, whether my words may have value. I am neither a writer by trade nor a man of letters. I am a former Internal Revenue Service agent. I've held state, county, and federal jobs. I managed a unit of a national insurance company, and for the last 45 years have been a realtor. I am a husband, a father, a brother, an uncle, a proud veteran, and a friend. I am liberal, but only with my time. I share willingly my knowledge and experience gathered at this point in my life. I am conservative when handling the money and property of others. I reserve my right to give or not without interference or direction from the government, labor unions, or organizations of any stripe. First, I feel it necessary that we reaffirm that to maintain what our founders formed nearly 238 years ago, that we are not a perfect union, and perfection is not at hand and likely will never be. However, we remain in full pursuit of that ideal. Let us also reaffirm that to fulfill the establishment of justice, we fought a revolution to give birth to a new nation where the seeds of idealism can be planted in the fertile soil of freedom. 85 years after our founding, we began a civil war that lasted 4 long, brutal, and bloody years, during which we suffered hundreds of thousands of deaths, and it ended with the Emancipation Proclamation and the assassination of our 16th president. We went on to establish justice with a succession of civil rights acts, fair housing laws, and the Americans with Disabilities Act. We promulgate and legislate remedies at all levels of government to correct injustices past and present as part of an ongoing process to maintain the liberties and freedoms on which our republic was founded. We reaffirm our efforts to ensure domestic tranquility by the vigilance of our citizens and a firm hold on our First Amendment right. We must take individual responsibility to remain law-abiding, yet ready to call into question any abuse by those within our government agencies and the representatives we send to the halls of power to echo our voices in the chambers of the United States Congress. We reaffirm our commitment to provide for the common defense by safeguarding our right to bear arms, to maintain a well-trained and well-armed military, to promote the general welfare but not to grow our government beyond our ability to control it. We cannot maintain the welfare of the general population by creating ever-growing mounds of national and international debt. In my humble opinion, the best way to reaffirm and ensure the blessings of liberty is simply to maintain and protect the liberty and freedom we have now. We need to appreciate and understand the power and scope of our ballot. Our ballot was an ember born in rebellion. The people we put in power in the next election must be the best our nation has to offer. They need not necessarily be part and parcel of a well-rooted Congress, but truth be told, they probably will be. I'm not talking about the presidential candidates at this point. We know that they are potentially a disappointment on both sides to the majority of the people in the country. We seem to constantly reward inaction with re-election. I fervently hope that we are awakening and coming to understand that looking for tomorrow with hope and purpose is but one direction. We need to abandon the idiotic premise that what we've built here is viewed by the world as the centerpiece of humanity. Hell, folks, a vast number of our own citizens haven't the vaguest idea of what America is, how it came to be, who our national leaders are, or how our government is constituted. It is apparent to me that our elections are not elections at all, but simply re-elections, and that complacency of the voters results in the redundancy of incumbency. I know that statistically those numbers change by minimal percentages, but the average holds around 90 to 94% of those members of Congress that run for re-election get re-elected. It is imperative that we first understand what an American is. Theodore Roosevelt, our 26th president, delivered a speech in which he defined his idea, his belief of what an American is and should be, and what America, the essence of America, is. Allow me to quote. In the first place, we should insist that if the immigrant who comes here in good faith becomes an American and assimilates himself to us, he shall be treated on an exact equality with everyone else. For it is an outrage to discriminate against any such man because of creed or birthplace or origin. But this is predicated upon the person's becoming in every facet an American and nothing but an American. There can be no divided interest here, no divided allegiance. Any man who says he is an American but something else also is not an American at all. We have room for but one flag, and that is the American flag. And we have one language, and that is the English language. And we have room for but one sole loyalty, and that loyalty is to the American people. Theodore Roosevelt wrote and delivered that in 1907, and I close the quote. So, to be true to our global invitation etched on the base of our Statue of Liberty, we welcome the tired and the poor. We welcome the huddled masses yearning to breathe free. But we are a nation of laws, and they must be uniformly and firmly applied. The ages have shown that we humans are unlike any other creature to have walked the corridors of time. In spite of our best efforts to right the wrongs inherent in our founding, our national identity will be that we are, for the most part, a collection of compassionate, caring people, independently possessing varying degrees of tolerance or none at all. That we are singly and collectively come together in furtherance of those principles on which we were founded. You see, folks, I go back to what I said earlier, that the world doesn't see us as the centerpiece of humanity, because most of the world doesn't know what freedom is. As an American, our loyalty is to one another, our allegiance to an idea that allows for idealism, that allows for an unfettered expansion of our own beliefs and ideas. Our ballot is our voice, and we have every right to expect honesty and integrity from our representatives. We are entrusting him or her to have at heart the best interest of our nation, and unfortunately that is not always the case. As a country of more than 30 million people, our ballot enrolls us in a process that renews our body politic. Countless men and women have given their lives to safeguard our sacred right to vote. We need to honor them, not just on Election Day, we need to honor them every day. Because since our founding, July the 4th, 1776, the world has looked to us for guidance. Our ballot is that ember forged in rebellion, as I had mentioned before, and we must guard it as though our lives depend upon it, which, as events have proven, it does. Our voice, our vote, our future, our family, and our nation hang in the balance. We, the people, are, in my opinion, the three most iconic words in our history. They are emblazoned across our founding documents and oft repeated by subsequent generations. We, the people, are the only group in America too big to fail. I made a banner 3 feet by 8 feet, and I carried that to community meetings, and I held it up, proudly held it up, that we, the people, are the only group in America too big to fail, because if we fail, then in our fall will follow the meek and the mighty. If we fail, then in our fall will follow the helpless and the homeless. America, if we fail, then in our fall the torch of Lady Liberty will fade, and that flickering flame of freedom will cast a sorrowful shadow from sea to shining sea. If we fail, then in our fall, the hope of nations emboldened by America, those drawn to the light of liberty and freedom, may be those ready to rise up and defiantly stand in the face of oppression, those ready to dictate to the dictators that only through liberty and freedom can there be dignity and safety in the pursuit of happiness. Let me say I need our now president to sound a clarion call for all America to embrace, and I mean fully embrace, proudly embrace, defiantly embrace the politics of our cause. Our cause, liberty and freedom and independence. All of us must be believers in the policies and politics of our American cause. I do not need our now Congress to tell me about their latest political action committee or how many donors they are bundling. I need our now Congress to be the political action committee of we, the people. I do not need our now Congress to ask me to be a donor. I am a donor. I've always been a donor. I am donating my time, my being, my very essence to our dying body politic. And to paraphrase the great Bob Dylan, and I quote, "Come senators, congressmen, please heed the call. Don't stand in the doorway. Don't block up the hall. For he that gets hurt will be he who has stalled. There's a battle outside and it's raging, and it will soon shake your windows and rattle your walls, for the times they are changing. America, we had better start swimming to save our decaying, crumbling republic, or it will certainly sink like a stone. The times have been changing. But it seems the only time we look back is when we want to erase something that made some of us uncomfortable. Our past is nothing more than life lived. If we hadn't lived it and learned from it, we wouldn't be in constant pursuit of that elusive perfect union now, would we? We need to keep our eyes wide open and focused, because our enemies are no longer perceptions. They are real, borderless predators who with declared intent to bring down Western civilization. And believe you me, they embrace the politics of their cause. They know full well what their cause is. And speaking for myself, I'm really tired of hearing politically generational regurgitation from the fathers and the sons and the daughters and the wives of politicians who are simply repeating the mantra of the 50s and the 60s and the 70s. My God, America, we are in the first century of a new millennium. Yet we stand squarely in the middle of issues decades old. I really want to thank you for your time. God bless America. Good night.